faith, Jesus. We're here to lift up only one doctrine, Jesus. We're here only to lift up one person, person of Jesus. When He's number one, my dear friend, all these
I can't hear a word you're saying.
Fall in place. If you look at the book of Acts, you know what? When the Holy Spirit, when the presence of God is filled, right?
So then everything would have to go back. I'm just going to interject in that. Yeah. And this is where a lot of people don't, and I mean this with all sincerity, but a lot of people don't actually understand certain concepts or certain things. So even when you're talking about infinite even your use or your understanding of it isn't quite what it should be. So I'll give you an example. There's no such thing as an infinite amount of times. It's a concept. It's not anything to do with numbers. When you say that like an infinite amount of times, that's not even a logically sound statement, because it's a mathematical concept. There's no such thing as
I understand that. This is why I say that would mean today.
No, nothing. Because wait, let me say. There's nothing infinite in the real world. Yes or no? In the real world, there cannot be an infinity.
So this is my view on it. When you're talking about infinity, infinity is not a number.
Yeah.
Infinity
it's not a number. Yeah. It's a concept.
So the issue that I took is that like you can't go and like an infinite amount of times like back.
Yeah, that's of course.
And I'm saying that.
But that's the point, though. That's our religious point. You cannot go infinitely back. There is a start to the universe. We don't believe it. We don't believe the Big Bang is not true or scientific theology. We believe there was a singularity, a singular point where all energy and all mass was stored, and God is the cause of that mass expansion called the Big Bang.
So my position is that it's not necessarily that you're wrong. My position is I can't corroborate that. Scientists haven't been able to confirm.
Do you understand what science is?
So what science is, if I had to give a fair definition, is our assessments about the observations of the world, and it's a tentative response about what we understand. So, for example, at once upon a time, it was reasonable to think that the world was flat, based on the
Christian theology,
amount of information we had at the time.
Yeah.
But as our ability to assess the world has become better, the position on that has changed, because we've got better tools to understand the world that it's around.
Do you think you'll ever be able to understand the beginning of the universe?
Irrespective of whether I can or can't understand, the logical position to hold is whatever position you hold or whatever claim that you make, it has to have a level of burden of proof. And all I'm saying is that you don't have enough evidence, or you don't have enough
God
information.
is what you're trying to say.
Yeah, on God. You don't have enough information.
If I could logically make you understand the concept of forget God, something infinite, doesn't have to be a mastermind, an infinite start.
It's not about
the concept of an infinite to kick everything finite.
It's not about infinite, or it's not about not infinite. Because the issue that I take with what you're doing is you're saying, based on this assumption, or let's even say, based on what I can see, this is the most reasonable conclusion to reach. And what I'm saying to you, the conclusion that you reach, you don't actually have evidence for that.
Okay.
You're making an assertion that you can't substantiate. Am I incorrect in saying that?
To an extent, we don't make claims, right? We believe, we're making an understanding through, as you can see, many worshippers and slaves of Allah. We call them not to understand in Western understanding of slaves, but many prophets sent by God. But to understand the message of prophets sent by God, you first need to understand what God is, or you're understanding whether you believe God is real or not, right? Logically. Because if we were to go 1,000 years back before most people had modern technology, and whether we have modern technology or not, we would never be able to 100% prove if God is real or not with science.
So this is the...
Because we sit here and we're following our religion, right? We spread it, right? And if I made a claim, then I would say, okay, yes, I'll bring that claim with proof. But then when people come to me and say God is not real, I ask them, I know you're not, but what I'm saying is, logically explain how God is not real. Because if we were to...
I'll break it down. I'm a lawyer.
Yeah.
And this is how evidence works. Yeah. I don't mean to... I'm being sincere.
No, of course. I understand you're sincere.
When you make a claim, so when you go to court in a criminal case, you have the prosecution and you have the defense.
Burden of proof, yeah.
The person making the claim has a burden of proof.
Yeah.
So what happens? What you're being judged of is guilt.
Yeah.
You're not concerned with I know colloquially we will say that somebody's not guilty and we'll say you're innocent. But if we're being technical, you're not talking about innocence. You're talking about guilt.
The truth, yeah.
Now, the person is either the prosecution saying and they're making a claim, the defendant is guilty. The defense is saying our client is not guilty. What happens is if we make this analogous to the situation, God is on trial. He's either guilty of existing or he's not guilty of existing.
Yes. Yeah.
It's the burden of proof is on you.
So
let me just the burden of proof is on you to
substantiate
that position. I'm saying to you is that
if I were to tell you my proof is looking at creation.
All I'm saying to you is until you've met that burden of proof, whether it's beyond reasonable doubt or whatever it is, and I'm saying just like in a criminal court case, I wouldn't get the defendant wouldn't be convicted until you can establish that.
Yeah.
According to science, this is not my opinion.
Yeah.
According to science, religious claims about the existence of a God has not met its burden of proof. From a science, this is not about your opinion.
It depends on what scientists you bring in. Because if we were to bring in,
there might be scientists who are religious.
No, but like, as science as a whole is very, very
hang on.
mixed opinions. I'll interject in a second.
In terms of a scientist, they might have religious beliefs.
Yeah, no, that's not. I'm not talking about that.
The data or the information states. So it's not your opinion, not his, not mine, not the cameraman's. We cannot substantiate the claim.
Do you know what a theory is? It's an opinion based on reasoning, right? Yes. A theory is something, obviously, it's the highest level of understanding.
There's
the
no
Darwin's
theory that a God.
Yeah, no, but can I give you? Do you believe in evolution?
Yes, I believe.
Has there been literal proof of evolution, not adaptation, evolution?
So this is what I would say. The reason why we can corroborate that to be most likely true is because of what we understand.
We share genes with cows, but that's the understanding.
And things of that nature. It's most probable, based on the evidence, that is the case. And
logic, right?
On logic. But I'm saying we can't even do anything akin to that when it comes to supernatural claims.
Of course, evolution is literally the understanding that a monkey with no intelligence compared to a human has evolved from that into the most advanced species on Earth to have a conscious, which you cannot prove exists nor can measure. That's another thing we believe exists, but we do not prove it measures. Then when we even go into understanding of consciousness, you can never measure a consciousness. So you cannot, for example, we understand that a monkey with no literal consciousness like us humans, right? If you were to give a monkey even 1,000 years, it would never be able to create a phone, right? And we humans have understood creating phones. We've discovered so much. You were to say that has turned into a human over millions of years through a theory. And then when we move on to, okay, a monkey has turned into us. Where does consciousness come from? Because consciousness is something we cannot see. We cannot measure consciousness. We can measure brain frequencies in anything, but we can never understand where consciousness, the thought, us being you. Why are you, right? You can never be able to prove that.
So hence what we say, just to piggyback on one point, if you look at the creation of the universe, which is generally understood to be the model of the Big Bang, just say we go with that for a time. Because the prevailing thought, although it's not 100% conclusive, what the brother just mentioned about the conscious will is predetermining the understanding but there had to be something which initiated the universe.
Yeah.
Even you would have to accept that as an atheist or an agnostic.
Because calculations has to have a sum behind it, right? A calculation altogether.
So this is the issue with what I'm taking. Is that so? If you want me to address both and
yeah, you can address to whatever you feel.
So the fact that we don't have 100% understanding.
Yeah, we can never have
of how something works doesn't equate to us not being able to have a justification in us believing it.
Logically justifying God, or to physically justify God. That if you were to logically justify God, I could do that. But if I were to physically or show you or measure God, there's no way you can do that, and there's no way you can measure there is no God or there is a God.
The issue
it's
is
logic.
So there's quite a few counts.
Yeah.
But the issue with what's being said is that I don't have to have absolute certainty, which is what you're implying.
Yeah.
All I have to have is good probable cause to believe what I believe. And the problem, what I'm saying is the inferences that you're trying to draw and the assertions when you say, well, because we don't know everything about consciousness, but we can still draw.
No, we can never be able to prove consciousness as a whole, because consciousness is something that cannot be measured nor seen, and it's in your. This is something completely. It's not your brain.
I don't.
Some people say consciousness is in your brain, but it's not.
I don't deny that.
Yeah.
So consciousness is the label that we put on some. It's not
on
a thing.
Yeah.
It's not a thing that we put onto itself that actually exists. It's conceptual. It's not. You know, like how the brain physically exists.
Yeah.
Conscious. The comparison that you're trying to do isn't relative, because like consciousness is a concept. It's not something that exists onto itself. It's not a tangible
itself.
thing.
It's not tangible or physical, but we believe consciousness is in us, right?
I give you an example. Like love
is a concept.
Does
it's a feeling.
not exist, and it's conceptual.
It's hormonal changes.
And if you turned around and you said to me, because we can't tangibly, physically prove that exists.
Love itself does not exist, but the understanding does.
Exactly.
But that's what I'm telling you.
Through hormones and through even other scientific things.
It's a derivation.
This is what. So you're using the wrong assessment.
Yeah. No, but if I were to say, do you have a consciousness?
I would say I would, because of
yes,
what we
exactly.
understand.
So you have a consciousness.
But what we know, this is the unfair comparison, and it's not logical to me. What we understand about psychology, what we understand about science, we understand that consciousness exists. I accept that we can't touch it.
Yeah.
I accept that we can't, but it's conceptual.
Yeah.
So
but that's because of mass transmission, right? Everyone unanimously agreeing on a thing through understanding has made that. Because if I were to tell you, for example, if everyone on Earth except you were to say that grass is red, right? But then you say it's green. Everyone on Earth believes grass is red. That's the truth. But you're a liar, right?
So this is the issue that I take with what you're doing.
But I'm just giving you understanding.
And I'll tell you why it's not a logical or rational position to hold. Have you heard of like hard solipsism?
Yeah.
So the concept, I can't prove to you that I'm not a brain in a vat.
Yeah.
I can't actually prove. But the most reasonable and the most rational thing is that the people. That's what
we're telling you.
What I'm saying is that I could be in a computer simulation.
Exactly.
And this could be the
You could be.
There could be somebody who's.
Who's out above? Who's out above? That's what I'm telling you. Exactly. That's what we're telling you.
But would you accept?
Logically, the understanding of a computer simulation would mean that we were created by a transcendent being and then what created them? Okay, but like for example, humans created computers which created NPC AI, right? So imagine them AI think like us humans, they're in their own. But that's what I'm telling you. Because then that gives room for the infinite regress. Because what created the people who created us in that simulation?
But then there's a logical flaw, because then you would have to also accept that there was a creator behind the creator, and there was a creator behind the creator.
That's why we bring in,
Going forever.
And
but that's my point.
because B would never happen because A always has an A.
You're talking about
It-
regression.
Exactly, because that's what I'm
this
telling
is-
you.
this is
But
the
we
issue.
believe, because logically, I'm telling you now.
Before you get into the argument, do you agree with what he said about infinite?
Yeah, well, let me tell you, even, okay, let's say,
If you had to wait for a number, to get this, if there was an infinite amount of people, would you ever get it? The answer would be no.
yeah,
So my opinion on infinite regression, I don't know that would necessarily be the case, because my view on it is I don't know what's at
it's
the end
logic,
point.
though.
I just don't know.
There is no.
but there is no, that's the point of an infinite
Yeah, but
regress.
this,
The thing
I
is,
don't-
the thing
but-
is
but-
that because there is something, that means there must have been something in the
Yeah,
beginning.
let me tell
we
you,
don't- but
brother,
even
we're not
if
saying
that were
God.
true,
Leave God out.
we don't know what that
Brother,
would
brother,
be or how.
brother, that's what I'm telling you, brother.
We can
We're
agree
gonna
on
get to that later.
So what he's trying to do.
What I'm trying to do is
step by
get you,
step.
yeah,
I'll give
understand.
you an example. How do we not know that it would be possible?
Yeah, exactly.
That this could always be here.
Yeah, let me tell you this. Okay, so everyone believes, right, that the universe is finite, as the sun will run out of energy, out of carbon supply, like it will burn off its own supply.
Apparently,
Yeah,
that's what they
yeah,
say.
that's an understanding through measuring, right? But if I were to tell you, right, I'm trying to take a step-by-step understanding of why I believe the infinite regress. So this is what we're trying to understand with the universe, though, because the universe had a beginning, right? The Big Bang was its beginning.
That's the prevailing understanding.
The prevailing
I'm saying
understanding.
You can only go with the options which are
I'm
currently.
saying
Yeah, we
even
don't
in-
know it, brother,
hang on, I'm saying it's fact. Let me explain. I'm not a science man, but
Yeah.
this is the actual
You're an
understanding.
intelligent guy, so you
You're in.
No,
yeah.
I'm not saying you're wrong, but I'm
Yeah.
trying to make it more specific.
course.
Our local presentation of time starts with the Big Bang.
Yeah.
Our local presentation and understanding of time. Yes. But before that,
Do you-
there was
do you
matter
understand-
And there was things that existed.
Yeah.
Our local presentation of what we
There
mean.
was, sorry, you just confused me there.
So
So you said there was matter before
The
that
Big Bang.
So what I'm saying, our local presentation of time starts with the Big Bang.
Can I explain what? Because actually, the most predominant understanding of the Big Bang is all that matter, which some scientists do believe that there was no matter before matter came, which is why there's an understanding, which is why there's a loophole. Science can't pin something specific to the beginning. They can't ever understand the beginning because we're not in the beginning, right? So we have to use logic. But the predominant understanding, all the matter we have today, everything in the universe that's still expanding, was condensed so small in such a small thing that it was at about the size of a pinhead, right? That's how condensed that matter was. But then
So didn't
suddenly,
that mean that matter existed before?
but the understanding
of the Big Bang?
yeah, but that's the thing. Science claims that for something to happen, there has to be a cause. So that's a science.
Are you familiar with the contingency argument?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm familiar with it.
So
But we
for you to happen, your mum and dad caused you to happen. Yes or no?
Yeah.
That's so. What caused the extreme, the rapid expansion of the universe? All that energy suddenly started
we
to heat
have no
up
idea
to
that it was
exactly.
God or
We're not.
creator.
I'm not going on to God yet. At first, I'm trying to understand is there's a cause to that rapid expansion and the
I
rapid
don't mind
start.
that. I'm fine, I
Yeah.
accept that.
Exactly.
But I
We're
don't know
not trying to
what that
push
is.
you because Islam. I'm telling you, as I said in the
I've
beginning.
never disputed that, by the way.
Yeah, I'm
so
not.
I accept that.
I've told you, Islam. Before understanding the messengers, all the prophecies, whatever, you need to understand what is God, who is God, what is your understanding, and before understand what and who is God, you need to assess, is God real, right?
When I say
Logically.
cause, what I would say is that
Yeah.
something obviously, when I say cause, I use it in the colloquial sense, but
Yeah.
I don't know it was something supernatural. I don't know something.
Yeah, we can't. Yeah.
So hang on, I'll tell you why I dispute supernatural. We have no definition of what's okay. Define what supernatural is.
Something beyond the norm.
Yeah, but beyond if you were to get up and walk on
So
water,
ambiguous.
brother. Yeah, can I say, if you were to walk on water, that is supernatural because natural. The word natural is to do with normal or natural. Natural means something normal. If I were to see you walking on the street, that's natural, right? But if I were to suddenly see you just get up, you walk on the red lake and start flying. That's supernatural. That's beyond understanding of the normal paradigm of what we view things, right? Our normal paradigm of how we view everything is everything has, or well, science understanding, everything has a science behind it, right? How birds fly, how humans and their muscles work, and blood flows around our body, how our hearts beat.
Of just even one thing that
supernatural. For example, a supernatural thing. The universe itself is completely no. It can't be.
When it came into existence.
Can you name me one habitable?
Yeah, that's the first thing.
Yeah,
that's the very first thing which you can say supernatural.
Because listen, if you were to say that matter, how long did that matter exist?
This has come from the incomprehensible.
Yeah, brother. Let me tell you.
We have abiogenesis that are break, albeit they don't have all the answers.
Can I expand on this?
Yeah.
Okay, so if I were to ask you, that pinhead of energy that was dormant, it wasn't expanding nothing. It was there. How long was it there? We don't know. That could have been how long? We don't know. That could have been billions, trillions of years, right? Supernaturally, it's expanded so that the understanding... Yes, it is. Because how has Earth, the only planet known...
That means the answer to the question is
exactly.
We don't know.
Exactly.
It's not supernatural.
But logically, to say...
Definitively it is.
Yeah, definitively it is.
Because we do not have a definition. Scientifically, we don't have a definition.
Does science always have to be the root of everything?
Science is our best understanding of how we understand.
Yeah, how we understand things we can perceive and measure.
It's a matter of fact that
science has been proved wrong many times. The science of today can be disproved with science tomorrow.
Works.
But no, what I'm telling you is science cannot be 100% factual because if the science of today can be disproved
if you're
tomorrow.
Saying that, you don't understand how science works.
Science does not go into the realms of the metaphysical.
It doesn't.
So the point. So there's 2 points. This is how I understand science to be. Science is our best explanation at the time.
It's limited. It's always
I agree. Of how we understand the world, which is why it is tentative. It's a tentative position of how. So when you when you say something like, science has been proved wrong many of times or it's limited. I don't necessarily disagree that it's limited.
Yeah.
But when you say it's been proved wrong, it's tentative, which means it's subject to change regarding when we understand. There's been studies that have been maybe done 50 years ago.
That have been
position
proven wrong.
on stuff has been X, and now our understanding has changed and has developed. It's now Y. That's fine. That's what.
And that's what I'm asking.
Is.
Can you prove something that you cannot measure, perceive, understand, or see? Can you prove it right or wrong?
Of course not, because you can't measure.
Exactly. But the thing is, it's called using logic. Because can you prove dark matter exists? And no scientist has said that you can measure dark matter, and that's an understanding.
All my position is...
but what I'm trying to understand is science makes claims that things exist that you can't measure. Dark matter, if you bring me any scientist that has measured or said that you can measure, and we do not even know what a black hole looks like, yet there's this perceived image of them. We don't believe that they 100% exist, but
atheist,
science say they exist.
My position as an atheist is this. It's no more complicated than this. If you have a claim about anything, I'm not
prove
talking
it, substantiate evidence.
If you can't prove it, it doesn't mean that you're wrong. It's just that I don't have a justification to believe it. Until such time, like I have no problem.
If we were to...
If within the realms of science, Allah came, or whosoever it may be, I would have no issue believing.
Can I explain on that?
My position isn't that I am affirmatively saying, or God does not exist. All I'm saying is, you're making a claim that you can't substantiate, even the assertions that are being drawn, I don't think of.
Do you believe a human with no scientific apparatus, so nothing to use to measure anything, to understand our Earth, if 1,400 years ago I came to you, we had none of the science to understand we have, and I made claims, for example, we believe that every living cell is made of water, has water contained in it, right?
I think that was, the knowledge about that was in pre-existence.
It was not pre-existing, that theory, it was actually in the last 200 to 100 years actually. It was in the Renaissance period, if I'm not wrong. You can correct me on that, but we understood that in the Renaissance period.
So the Greeks had some conceptual understandings,
but
never formulated.
But they never had a theory, or they never claimed it.
They never made specific claims. All they had was some specifics from Plato and Aristotle. However, the point I'm trying for you to understand is that in the formative sense of the word, we shouldn't get too bogged down in the details. It's quite clear. There's only two possibilities. Either the universe was created by something which is beyond the universe, which would make logical sense. Because if something doesn't exist, it necessitates then something must have caused it. It cannot be something from nothing you get nothing. Conceptually, you can't go.
We're talking logic,
and that isn't my position. All I'm saying is this. It's as simple as this. And I think you might have been on the phone when we were speaking about it. For like, I'm a lawyer, and albeit I don't do like criminal matters and whatnot. But it's a simple understanding that if somebody makes a claim,
we need to substantiate.
They adopt a burden of proof, which I'm sure you're aware of. And all I'm saying is that the religious claims, especially things being supernatural and things of that nature, it hasn't met its threshold for being consistent with the burden of proof.
Who defines what supernatural is?
And what I'm saying is that we don't have, when I've asked you to define, I don't even agree with your definition of what supernatural is. But even if I went along with it.
What's your definition of it?
I don't believe that there's anything supernatural. So
but what's your definition of the word supernatural? Because the word exists, so it has to have a meaning.
No, I understand that. So, for example, Harry Potter exists.
Supernatural, right?
But I wouldn't call it supernatural. It's a story.
Because it's not natural, though.
No,
the understanding of magic. I'm asking, is the understanding of magic supernatural?
But I don't know that magic exists. Like, I don't believe.
I'm not. We're not going semantics.
I'm answering your question.
Yeah.
I don't believe that magic exists.
Yeah, that's fine.
Magic
I'm asking the understanding of it.
But I don't think there's anything supernatural.
If I today, let's forget existing. If I today were to do whatever Harry Potter does, I don't know, spells or whatever, would you believe that's supernatural? No, I'm not asking whether you believe what's supernatural.
I believe it's supernatural.
Would you believe it's logical that if I were to do magic?
What I would believe that you've done, like all magicians, they mess with our perception. So what they do is when they do a card trick and they make it disappear, it hasn't actually disappeared.
Can I reply to that?
Hang on. So it hasn't actually disappeared.
It's
probably gone up my sleeve or something. It's still there, but it's nothing supernatural. It hasn't gone into thin air.
If I were to literally stand here, you check my hand, clean hand, nothing, and if I was to appear from my hand, then after you check my hand and I were to do it again, would you believe that's supernatural?
No, it's a magic trick.
No, but the thing is, you've checked my hand, all traces. You can cut my hand open, dissect it, whatever, and I were to still make that same fire appear. Would that be supernatural? Anyone would say yes.
No, because we don't have any evidence for anybody doing that. And when we would investigate it, what we would most probably find is somebody's done something inventive.
But what I'm asking is, forget understand. But if I were to literally do that, if I were to, let's say, forget everything.
So this is
you would have
this
to
is the thing that you're not understanding.
Yeah, you would have to understand it.
I would have to find out how you did that.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying. If you were to completely try your whole life to decide a logical reason on how I did that, but you couldn't find one, would that be supernatural?
Because humans on this earth, we don't have any understanding that fire just comes like that. We don't have anything to corroborate.
Are you agnostic or?
I'm like agnostic atheist.
Okay, so it's a simple question that I'm not sure if the brothers asked you.
Yeah.
Did you think the universe created itself?
Do you have to expand upon that?
Okay. Did you create yourself?
No.
Who created you?
My parents.
Your parents created you?
Yeah.
So that means if you die, your parents will create you again?
No. What you get now is an act of my mum and dad having sex.
No, what we're asking.
That's the reason why I'm here.
That's fair enough. So you make it simple. You are a design, so there must be a designer that designed you, like a phone. If a phone just didn't
like your dad.
Do you know why you can make that assertion?
No, I'm not making an assertion. I'm asking you a question.
No. Why that comment?
What we mean by design is because of your dad.
All right, I'm going to answer your question and then I'm going to expand upon it. The reason why that's true and why that's fair and accurate to hold as a position, we have evidence for how phones are designed. Yeah. We understand that there's components that might be built in China. There's minerals that are taken from the ground. We can see how they've been put together. So the reason why I know that it's been designed is because we have evidence of design.
Okay.
And before you go any further, to design and to create what is necessary. If you put those in a box, will it ever come to life?
No, because we have evidence of how.
No. What about the evidence? To create something, what are the ingredients to create?
Give me an example of it.
He's asking if you put in a box metal.
You've got to have consciousness, you've got to have intellect, you've got to have power. If you don't have these attributes, you can't create or get anything. It's like I can have an idea, but if I don't act upon it, it will always remain an idea.
That's not necessarily true. AI is an example. But somebody may argue that it's got some artificial consciousness. Okay, fair enough.
Right, so what we're trying to say, it's not a matter of convincing. The universe, come back a little bit. Can you create something from nothing?
I agree.
You can't.
So what we're trying to say, because we have to go step by step before we say.
Wait, can I quickly interject on one point you made before? What he was saying is, if I put all the ingredients or whatever the parts you need for a phone to be made in a box, and I left it there for 1 billion years, would anything be made?
So I'm gonna say that.
No, forget people. Then no one touches our box.
So this is what I'll say. The argument of intelligent design is something that scientists do not accept. And I'm saying that it's.
Would you accept?
I don't.
Would you logically accept?
And the reason, it's not my opinion. From an objective standpoint, it's been debunked.
When you say objective,
so science.
No, for you to be objective, you would have to have carried out the test yourself. Because if you're relying on the scientists, then you're relying on their testimony.
Yeah, and that's not objective because you didn't believe it before.
When I say objective,
I like your discussion.
I love brothers. I accept it. I'll still stay here because I love all this.
Of course.
But the thing is, the argument of intelligent design is not accepted amongst the scientific community because of the logical flaws that it has in.
Can you name one?
I'm saying you might not have said it, but that's what.
I like it simple. Your eyes. Is it design or not?
Not what I does what not what,
what is the
I
word design?
understand to
What
be.
is,
No.
what is it, because what it is, your eye. Okay, simplify it again. Your eyes have a function.
A created purpose.
No. I said I changed it now.
Okay.
It's got a purpose. Your eyes got a purpose.
It's got a function. I wouldn't necessarily say it has a purpose. It's got a function. I accept.
It has a
but I wouldn't
purpose
say
to
it's got a
see.
purpose.
Its purpose is to see.
It's got a function. I accept.
Yeah, but you don't accept it's got a purpose.
I wouldn't accept it's got a purpose.
What does the word purpose mean?
I would say, so my definition would be...
No, not your definition, because that's subjective. Objectively, if you look in the dictionary, what would the word purpose mean?
No, so even if you want to get into...
Because you can say you have a belief in something, and I can have a belief, but there's not a criteria.
I agree, but that's not how linguistics work, and I'll tell you why.
We're not talking about linguistics.
I know, but I'll explain something, and you will be like, okay, I get what you're saying. Linguistically, it doesn't matter what is said in the dictionary or not, and the reason being is that language, in terms of the words we use,
context.
They're generally
no, you were just going to, what does descriptive mean? Because it has to have a meaning.
So when we say that words are descriptive and not prescriptive, it doesn't matter what it says in the dictionary.
If I were to, no, but it does.
If
I were to come to you and go, do you understand what I'm saying?
No. So this is what I'm saying to you, is that amongst society, we have a common understanding of how words are used. But the reason why it's not prescriptive is because we don't have to.
Then why does a dictionary exist?
No, so
because wait, let me make a point. Let me make a point.
It's generally it's a fact that words.
The fact is that if I were to use the word, and the fact is that word cannot be used differently, and is literally prescribed to that word to add on.
I can counter that easily. The reason why words are descriptive and not prescriptive. For example, I write contracts for a living.
Yeah.
In the dictionary, there is a common usage of how that word is used. But even irrespective of that word being used in that way, there is a defined term in which we change how it's used. That
If
is
I
a
were to
direct
say you're sad,
hang
can
on,
I change
hang
that
on,
term
hang on.
to fit you're happy?
That is a direct rebuttal against your point, showing why words are not prescriptive and they're descriptive.
Because let me add to it. Because if I would say
We don't
you're
prescribe
sad,
the meaning of words.
everyone prescribes the meaning of sad to do with your.
No, the dictionary is describing the common usage of the word.
So can someone use the word sad to prove you're happy?
Give you the perfect example. Once upon a time, the word gay
meant happy.
meant happy. Now, if your point is that it's prescriptive, it could never change.
Do you understand why they use the word gay on happy?
You're using the language of English.
Yeah.
And by the definition, English is a very ambiguous language.
Yeah.
Meaning it's open to many interpretations.
Hence it being descriptive.
No. So when you come to like a Semitic language like Arabic or Aramaic, we have what we call the root word. And it's universal and it's accepted and it doesn't change.
Yeah.
But we're talking about English.
Wait, can I?
Use the word purpose, so that would be more consistent with.
If I were to say,
accept another language.
If I were to say, do you know the reason why they say gay?
That's more towards
law,
my point.
What you practice before, you was not allowed to use English because of this openness. That's why it was in Latin.
Yeah.
Fair point. Not fine. I even accept that. But this is why your point stands. But my point also is I don't think it counts as one another.
No, I don't say that. It's because we're having an open discussion.
Yeah.
It's not a matter of we forcing or me forcing.
Oh yeah, of course.
It's a matter of
back
I
and
want to
forth.
learn,
Yeah.
and hopefully
Like
you
I
want
didn't
to
know
learn.
this about thingy. So like even I've learned something.
No.
So yeah.
Well,
But if I were to, can I quickly interject? Because you made the point of gay being changed.
Yeah.
But the reason gay people, do you know the reason why gay people use that word?
I
The
don't
way
know,
gay.
but-
Because homosexual was the word used for them throughout maybe the whole of the early 20th century.
it may
Until
be-
gay was to do with them being happy with the way they are.
But it doesn't detract from the point
It
that
does,
I've made.
yeah, your point can be
My
said.
point still stands that words
Yeah.
are descriptive.
And this
they're not
is a very new understanding of language. As he said, Latin. The reason even the religious scriptures of Christianity were written in there because it didn't have that freedom to change or interpret of your own discretion, right? For example, if I were to go in Greek, I'll just give you a Christian argument I use. When Jesus says, it mentions in the Greek manuscript in Acts, it uses the word apostolios. This is a Greek word to do with an apostle or a direct messenger, right? Or a message sent to someone who brings something, a message of someone. So if I were to use that word, no Christian can go against that Greek word, because that is, for example, with the Semitic languages and in Greek and in Aramaic and if you were to even move to different languages, it's because those languages are prescriptive. They prescribe a word to that. But when we move to English, modern day English, that's why, yes, okay, the purpose, what he means by purpose, yeah, you can use that against it. That's fair. I'll admit that.
Maybe in like more Aramaic or Arabic or even Latin. I accept
yeah,
that.
sure. And I accept your point with English.
The only reason why I said what I said is because
we're using the English language. Yeah.
That's why I said that.
So if I were to, I'll give you my own description. Right? Does your eyes have a function? It was specifically designed, forget who designed it, but your eyes designed for. So your body has your eyes for a specific reason to just do a specific task. That's my...
So what I agree with is that my eye, the first part I agree with, my eye definitely has a function. I have no issue with that. To say my eye has a design, it means that there's a designer.
Yeah.
I don't know that there's a... That's why I wouldn't...
You don't know that there's a designer,
I don't know that there's a
but is there
designer.
an intricate way that your eye was made? I would say made because it was made through your parents.
It might be intricate, but it doesn't mean there's a
intricate.
designer.
But do you believe by chance everything, for example, your eyebrows are made
It's
to
do with
catch your
biology,
sweat?
which is why my eye is the way...
What is biology? Understanding
So, the human
on
body.
the human body.
Yeah.
Understanding on the human body. It's not a reason of the human body.
I never said that.
Yeah.
All I said is that if you're talking about my eye, I don't believe there's a designer.
Yeah.
And the reason why I don't believe, I wouldn't use the word design about understanding the function, how my eye works, is because there's a biological explanation about why it functions the way that it functions.
But
it's not because
how was it created that way? Because this can even tie into the beginning of the universe, creation.
Where we would get into like things like evolution.
Yeah, exactly.
And then we would get into.
But that's why I wanted to deal with the first points to do with the start of the universe. Because when we move on to evolution, there's no proof for evolution. It's a theory. I can prove to you, and I guarantee you can prove to me adaptation. That's something I don't disagree with. But evolution has not been objectively proved.
I'm not an abiogenesis.
Yeah.
But so I don't want to talk out of turn.
No, of course.
When I say certain things.
Yeah.
But my current understanding, and probably somebody would correct me about science and all of this good stuff. But my current my current understanding about my current understanding about how it works is that when you look at like our connections with other animals, and you look at fossils, and you do carbon dating.
Yeah, we connect
all
to
of
cows,
these things.
but does it mean we came from cows?
It's more reasonable than not to draw these links together and say that it's proven that this is, or let me not use the word proof. It's more likely that this has happened than, I don't know, we were created by aliens or something of that nature, and that's all that's saying. It's not.
The science not believe there is a lot of scientists do understand and try to prove the fact that aliens exist.
We might not have got there.
Yeah, exactly. We don't have the proof to prove it's wrong.
Do you know my thing about religion? I'm not saying that
it's wrong or right. Yeah, I know.
That there is definitely
not a God, but you don't have the proof to give reason for you to believe there's a God.
That's all I'm saying.
But if I tell you my proof is the Quran, what's written in that Quran, the word we believe is the infallible word of God. Everything written in that Quran, word for word, is the word of God transferred or given through the prophets, right?
But that's when I would say that.
But that's when I would say, if you read the Quran and you even looked at his scientific claims, right? The Quran has repeatedly, I'll give you a simple one. We believe that the ozone layer was mentioned in the Quran. Do you believe that the ozone layer, the understanding of the ozone layer, would have been around when Bedouin Arabs, who had no access to knowledge the way they did after, obviously, the Islamic Golden Age, Bedouin Arabs, a man who was called crazy, a heretic, right, Muhammad, peace be upon him, by his own family, had all these revelations in caves, had these revelations in his room, where he magically made these claims, and 1,400 years later, I can link those claims he made to science. That is my proof of God.
I'll tell you why. I think there's something logically fallacious about that.
Yeah.
So, one, I think it's probably on a couple of counts, but one of them is like circular reason. The thing that you're questioning, you're using to prove your point. No, so therefore your argument is
asking.
Hang on. I'll let you.
That's why I asked you. Can I quickly?
But I'll address that point.
Yeah.
But then, even if you don't accept the circular reasoning, on a second count, is that this is the analogy that I'm going to use. If somebody committed a crime, and let's say there's been a murder, the facts that
I was just going to say one thing about the circular reasoning. Can you not scientifically prove that the universe had the Big Bang? Can you non-scientifically prove that?
Can I non-scientifically prove
the universe existed? That I had a beginning, the Big Bang. Let's say that. Because you need to an extent, everyone uses circular reasoning. There's no person on earth who hasn't used it. Because I were to tell you, and I'm saying it now, do you believe, and this is why I asked this specific question, do you believe that a man, do you know the understanding of Bedouin, like they were the poorest of poor, travelling Arabs?
I can address that. I can address that.
Would know what we know today.
So let me address that. The reason why I think that there's a logical flaw in it, or I wouldn't say I think, there is a logical flaw in it, is for the same reason that if there was a criminal case and somebody's being murdered, and we're saying who's killed the person, we're saying that.
But is there not a logic behind criminal?
Hang on. We're saying that, you know, it could be person A, B, or C. Now, for them to be a possible candidate,
they'd have to be.
There needs to be some kind
logic.
of tie.
No, there needs to be logic. Because if I were to say you're being accused of murder that happened in Peckham 5 minutes ago, and you're here, that logically, and you're being accused of that, right? Logically, can you explain to me any way you could get from Peckham to here in 5 minutes?
So
exactly.
So I'll tell you why.
So that's why we piece together everything, the surroundings.
So the reason.
That's why I said, do you believe? And that's why I gave you a description of the prophet. Because
so the reason why there's a problem is this. That needs to be a candidate explanation. The conclusion that you're trying to draw, it can't be made. It's like you're saying we have 2, and then we have 3. And then we put them together, and then we get to 6. And I'm saying...
no, I didn't say that.
You can't draw...
I'm saying 2 plus 3 equals 5. Because 2 plus 3 equals 5.
No,
because
you're saying you have 2 and 3, and we get to 6. And I'm saying, I don't know how you can get to 6 using 2 and 3. And the reason why I say that is because you need to substantiate that it most likely came from a God. Should be a candidate answer or explanation. We don't have any evidence of people.
But what's more plausible? For example, let's say you're in a case where this
No, there's
No, that's a serious question. If you're saying I cannot corroborate the existence of God and stuff like that, you're saying you cannot corroborate certain things.
No, we can't.
Can you ever corroborate without trying to corroborate?
No, obviously you try to corroborate.
Yeah, exactly.
But I'm saying that's a
logic. But that's when, if you cannot physically measure something or prove it with normal means, you would logically.
So this is the problem that I'm taking with a lot of the position that you're taking and religious
it's logic.
People, no, it's not. It's not even logic.
It's logic. It is.
It's assertions being.
I'm not asserting
God.
When have I told you believe God is real? I told you what's more likely, reasonably.
This is what I'm saying. You're making an assertion that it's more likely true that this scenario has happened.
Is it? And I'd like you to prove to me how it's not more likely.
The reason why I'm saying I don't have any evidence for angels existing. I'm
not talking about. I'm asking, right? It's more, and I'm going to make this claim. It's more logical.
Prove to me that angels exist.
I didn't make the claim right now. I'm going to make a claim right now.
But you believe it, that it's more.
Yeah, I believe. If you want to go into that.
So what's your justification for believing
my
that
justification
angels
is my
exist?
Justification on God. If I believe there's a God, and then we'll mention. Wait, I'm just going to go on. We believe there's a God, right? Let's just say, for example, I believe there's a God. Then that God sent messengers, and those messengers conveyed God's words. But those messengers had certain signs, certain prophecies, certain claims they made that to this day can still be used. To this day. No, but what I'm saying is I'm
that
taking
doesn't mean that it's more likely true. This is the thing that you're
more
not...
No, but what is more likely true? I'm making a claim out. It's more likely true that God exists than for the universe to, by chance, with its specific calculations...
I'm saying as a matter of fact...
I'm making a claim, and I'd like you...
Go.
I'd like you to... I'm saying it's more likely that the universe exists through an infinite being or an understanding of something infinite, kicking all of that into start, rather than the universe in that singularity, not magically, unreasonably, without logic, just out of nowhere, started kicking itself into existence.
But you are aware that, like, as a matter of fact, that like claims and supernatural claims about what has happened in the Quran, they haven't met their burden of proof. I can
give you a claim that has been met its burden of proof.
What's the claim?
For example, in the Quran it mentions how mountains, right? Mountains are, I don't know how to explain it in English. They're inside the earth. They are in the earth to stop the earth from shaking or having an earthquake on itself. That's a claim. That's something supernatural. It's the Rosetta,
the natural world around us. It's mountains are not supernatural.
But I'm telling you, the point of it being supernatural is the person 1,400 years ago knowing about tectonic plates and understanding behind the earth itself.
The only reason why I won't make the point that I want to make is because I don't know enough about scientific historicity.
You don't have to make the claim, but can I understand what you want to say?
So, what I want to say is that I'm sure that maybe somewhere on the planet this information may have been, but even if granted that wasn't the case, it's not reasonable to conclude, because there might not have been anybody else. It's most likely the case that he got it from a God. You can't make that jump. That's all Can
I make this as well? So if that knowledge somewhere in history is known, all this knowledge we have today could have been known, all the claims in the Quran could have been known, then why did no one build on it until Islam made these claims, and then Islamic scholars added onto and built on those claims?
I'll do you one better.
Yeah.
Even if you're right, it's still not plausible to conclude that it most likely came from a God.
Then where would it come from? Because it cannot come from nothing.
Don't know.
Yeah.
We don't.
We need to logically understand.
The answer.
If this person has said everything true, let's say, hear me out. I tell you everything true, right? And I'm honestly telling you, and I would die on these words. If you held a knife to my throat and I told you God told me this knowledge, right? That is understanding that you're accepting some knowledge from them, all the things you want to pick from them, but everything that doesn't fit the agenda you view, you're throwing out the window and saying that's not plausible. But I'm telling you, if you're going to accept one thing, everything, say I've told you everything true, but you're like, no, I don't believe the last thing you told me. Does that mean I'm wrong?
No, so this is my position on matters. and this is what I mean about substantiating claims and evidence. Say for example, if I had a pet, you've never seen my pet, but let's say I've got a pet dog or I've got a pet cat. Without seeing my pet, you know that, like,
I'm breaking up, sorry. You can speak,
You know that, like, animals, animals exist. Like, you know that cats and dogs, they exist, right? And on top of knowing that dogs and animals exist, you understand that humans are the custodians of these animals and have them as pets. So even without you seeing that I've got a pet, you know it's within the realms of human possibility for that to be something that can exist. Do you agree?
Okay.
What I'm saying, when you're talking about certain supernatural claims, like what you're talking about, somebody being given all this knowledge and the most plausible way that it could have come is
but they claim.
Hang on.
They claim
that they claim. I don't know that that's even within
you asked the burden of proof is upon the one who claims. But the problem is looking.
Hang on. All I'm saying is that I don't know that that's even within the realms of human possibility. What I did, and I'll let you respond. I don't know that. You know what I did for the pet example?
Yeah.
We cannot do anything similar for the claim that you just, or the claim. Let me
reply to that.
Do you think that it's a fair and reasonable? I'm going to ask you a question.
If I was to make a claim that God exists,
hang on.
Yeah.
Do you think it's a fair and reasonable position to go about reasoning in the example that I gave about you with pets, rather than the line of reasoning that you're attempting to use? Which position is more reasonable? Is it reasonable?
No, because they're not substantiating to the same claim though.
No, I'm saying how humans go about reasoning is relative so I did it with pets, but generally that's how we go
Can a
about.
pet make us it so no, can you be the pet and dog be the owner? Is that possible?
No.
And why?
Because we don't have evidence for any of them.
No, but it could be, because we have evidence that kids can be animals per se and speak the same language. Not language, but understand.
I don't have any evidence.
Any idea you have a W. Smith, W. Smith shop?
W.H. Smith?
Yeah, W. Smith.